morning. That piece I was just playing was an old song called The Boulevard of Broken Dreams. There's a more recent version by the rock group Green Day, a pop rock version. Different song, but similar themes. This Boulevard of Broken Dreams. This journey we all walk down. This avenue, this street, this journey where life is hard, where we lose hope, where dreams are shattered, where grief and loss intervene and change our life, where relationships are broken down or disappointments come. The hopes that we had, the dreams that we experienced are no longer real. The Boulevard of Broken Dreams. And it was along a boulevard of broken dreams that in Luke's story of Jesus we hear of two disciples, Cleopas and another one, an unnamed one, probably a woman, maybe his wife, walking together away from Jerusalem, this place of hope, this place where dreams were kind of looking bright earlier in the week. When Jesus rode into Jerusalem on a donkey and he was praised and hailed as the King, as the one who comes, the one who would save them, relieve them, save them from Roman rule and bring God's reign in fully. But as the week progressed and conflicts happened with the religious leaders and the unrest of Passover week and the Romans, he was arrested, sentenced and executed by the Romans. And their dreams shattered. And now they walk this boulevard of broken dreams from Jerusalem back to Emmaus. We don't know where Emmaus is or was. Emmaus, in a sense, is nowhere but everywhere. Because this story is not their story, it's our story as we all walk the boulevard of broken dreams. This journey away from hope and dreams and to disillusionment, to confusion, to despair. The boulevard of broken dreams, where hopes are shattered, where lives are changed and we don't know what we're doing, with doubts and questions and confusion and uncertainty, and wondering how we can live. As Green Day says, it's a lonely, lonely road. It's a road that we walk alone. We walk alone. And yet do we? For these disciples, as they walked, were joined by this figure who appeared and who listened to their questions and their doubts and all the stories they had and entered into this conversation and offered them a different, broader perspective of life and of being and of God's presence, and asked them questions about life and gave them insights and gave them hope, who shared the journey of loneliness so they were no longer alone in expressing their confusion, their doubt, their pain, and of hearing this bigger story. These disciples found hope. The boulevard of broken dreams wasn't quite as lonely or as painful as it was when they started out. And as they came to their home, they went in and he went to move on, but they invited him in for a meal. And they sat around the table and they shared food and stories and laughter and tears. And he took bread and he blessed it and he broke it. And their eyes were open. They recognized, they saw, this is the risen Christ in our midst. And one commentator says, this scene never happened but always happens. It's a scene that we experience gathered around a table, sharing stories of life, of hope, of fun and laughter and pain and tears, sharing food and bread, breaking bread and sharing wine, and Christ is present in our midst. A few years ago, or several years ago, Susan and I were invited to a celebration, a couple in our congregation. It was a significant birthday or an anniversary, and they had this function in our church hall, and we were invited, and we were sat at tables, and we were there. We knew another couple of people, but there were several others we didn't know, relatives and friends of, I think, the wife of the couple. And the conversation went around, rotated around, circled around often several conversations, people catching up as they do, and others who are not quite sure, engaging where they can. And as the conversation circled round and around, it came back time and again to the son of one of the couples, who was well known to everyone there, but also seemed to be well known to the world. He seemed to be a celebrity, as the conversation continued, obviously a sportsman. And we didn't know who they were talking about, but it felt like we should. And at times there were glimpses of, that makes sense, but I can see, but I can't see. It's like when you're walking down the street or through a shopping centre or somewhere where there's people, and out of the corner of your eye you see this person. And in the shape of their body or their face or the movement, their gestures, their bearing, you glimpse someone you know, but you can't make out who it is. You know you should, and the more you look, you know it's not them, but they remind you of someone, but you can't think. And as you watch more and more of what they do takes you into that place of not just seeing, but of recognizing. And that's what it was for us. Someone said something finally, and it all clicked into place. The pieces came together, and it wasn't just seeing, it was recognizing. We know who you're talking about. And then it came back to me that the wife of this couple that was celebrating had said, I'm related to this person in some way. I think it was like that for the disciples, but even more so. Because in their presence was this risen Christ, in this mystery and this wonder. He breaks bread and is recognized and then disappears. But his presence is there and felt and known and glimpsed in the acts of kindness and love along the Boulevard of broken dreams. And this risen Christ, this Word made flesh, this Logos, the one who was there in the beginning, as John talks about, is in our midst. We glimpse this risen Christ, this presence of God, this Spirit, in life, in the world, in the beauty and the wonder, in the opening of the daisy with its petals and the beautiful colours and the beautiful design, the wonder. We glimpse it in the tree, this big white gum with brown and red stains, with olive leaves against the blue sky down in our park. Or the gum trees against that blue sky and sunshine, or the sun shining through the mist on a winter's morning, or the sunrise and sunset that captivates us, or sitting on the ocean shore and watching the waves roll in, thunderous, rolling in, repetitive. The vastness of the ocean and the timelessness of those waves, and we see the presence of Christ in the face of another, in an act of kindness and love, of walking with us on that boulevard of broken dreams and opening us to hope, to love, holding us in our pain, holding our questions and our doubts and our fears. And we're no longer alone. We see the Christ presence in the one who suffers, in the person who's struggling, in their pain, in their fear, in their angst, their despair. Christ is present. And as we reach out to them and they reach back to us, something happens and God is present in this space between us, holding us, loving us. And in all of this presence of God in the world, this trinity of love, this relational community that holds us and grows new community and life in and through us, inclusive, just, open, holy, wondrous, joyful, hope-filled, life-giving community for us and for the whole world. God is present. And God breaks into this boulevard of broken dreams, this lonely journey that we walk at times in our lives, and holds us in the embrace of another, in the kind word, in the love, in what we feel, in the beauty around us. When our eyes are open and we recognise and see Christ is present and with us. And God says, I love you and I will not let you go. And there's nothing we can do or say or think that will stop God loving us or take God's presence from us. When we glimpse those moments of wonder, awe, beauty, kindness, love, justice, compassion, courage, Christ is in them. God is in them, the Spirit. This is resurrection, this is life. This is Easter. This is the life that God offers us, now and always. Amen.